Oh, yeah.
Hey, we are live, baby. What's up? Woo! I'm psyched to see you, my friend.
Ryan, I'm psyched to see you too. Psyched to be here. Psyched to let people know that there's other people who look like them who bike pack. So
Yeah, like with a big smile and just
Oh,
like cheesy grin and
always.
nice. So we're gonna let people fill in here a little bit. Tell us where you're from, everybody. We have RC's Boogie and Nature. I am a black bike packer. Awesome. Chrissy Reed.
Oh, nice.
Representing the state where you took your hottest and perhaps windiest ride, Nebraska. Yes, Nebraska. We've got Patrice from Quebec, Canada, small town called Lavaltrie, north of Montreal. Have you ever been there? We got my friend Anders Mavis from Denver, Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
This is fun. So we're going to get this conversation started in a couple minutes. We'll let people join. But just give you a quick background. You are at Ryan Van Duzer's YouTube channel, in case you don't know where you are and what you're doing. And we are going to have some fun tonight because my friend Kevin is here and he's the king of fun, right? Boom. And we got Tulsa, Oklahoma. We got a hey mate from Cody. I guess that's maybe Australia. We got Carter from Denver. Thank you for being here.
There it is my boy.
Eric from Klamath Falls. We got Alon from Mountain View, California. He's one of my faves. We met at RAGBRAI last year, just like we met, Kevin. I'm going to talk about.
Look at that.
Yeah, we got Rosario Lobo from Omaha, Nebraska. The Midwest is representing. We got Chicago. We got David Watson from Las Vegas.
Way to be Midwest. Way to represent.
Oh, we have somebody from, let's see, Electro. I have talked to you about this before, but I am originally from India and love biking around the trails and want to be a bike packer too. Sweet. Well, you came to the right place if you want to be a bike packer, because that's what we're going to talk about. And Kevin here got into bike packing not too long ago. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a Costa Rica while on Zwift. So we got Herman is riding his bike, listening to this. Pura vida, Costa Rica, amigo. We got Los Angeles, Dallas, Texas. Nick from Minneapolis. Maybe that's one of your friends.
Yeah, that is.
All right. What's up, Nick? All right. Well, I think we've been doing this for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Oh, we got Chihuahua, Mexico. Bienvenido, amigo Cesar Delgado. I love Chihuahua. Sarasota, Florida. That's what I love about YouTube Live is you just see people from all over the world. Newburgh, New York. All right. We're going to start this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. It's good to see you in real life. You are watching this live. You can ask us questions. I'm mostly going to be directing the conversation towards Kevin here, but if you do want to ask a question, we will integrate those into everything. We're going to have a great time. Oh, I saw a Heya Sverige. We got a Swedish person. Heya Sverige. This is my friend Kevin, and we met on RAGBRAI in 2018. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How did that happen?
It's a little bit of an awkward story. I had woken up from my sleep. So we were at some school. I forgot. I think it was like night 2. I was changing in my hammock into my bike shorts. So I'm butt naked in my bike shorts changing. And I remember I seen Allie walk by and I'm like, no way. I know they're biking across the country, but there's no way that's Allie. So I call her like, Allie? And she stops and looks. And then I'm like, hey, I'm a fan, but I'm naked right now. I'll try to catch up with you later. So she just awkwardly walks off. And then we walked into some town or biked into some town. And I remember I seen you and we stopped and talked about love cycles. It was a good time. Yeah.
And so everybody, if you're just joining, this is Kevin. He is a cyclist, bike packer, outdoorsman. He's a bow hunter. What are the other things you do, man?
I like to camp. I like to, let's see, what else? I like to play any sport outside. Rock climbing is interesting. I like to play ultimate frisbee. I mean, anything at all that involves being outdoors, I'm in it.
Nice. Looks like somebody here says, I remember when you guys met. Yes. Well, since we're talking about when we met, I am going to play that video because I have that magical ability right now. We're going to go way back in time here, and I'm going to show you when we met Kevin. Let's see here.
Like, who's this dude?
Oh, wow.
Kevin, we just met him here at RAGBRAI, and yeah, he's got some love advice for us. We've been married 1 year.
Just a year. June 3rd was 1 year. Yeah. My best advice so far has been intentionality. Just love is never gonna stay the same, and it shouldn't stay the same, right? It should be dynamic. But in order for it to change, you have to intentionally change. Every single day, try to love your partner as best as you can. That's been my best advice so far, and marriage has been the best decision I've ever made in my life. Yes, I had a picture of my.
Yeah, what's up? That was awesome. So that gives you a little taste of who Kevin is. He is a lover. He is full of energy. When I first met him, I'm like, wow, this dude is like my kind of guy. I love that. You're just electric, and I'm so excited that you are here, my friend.
You too. Hey, that advice still holds true, and we just celebrated 3 years a couple days ago, a week ago now.
Nice.
So, yeah, marriage is going strong. I love it.
And so after we met on RAGBRAI, it wasn't just like a momentary encounter, which can happen in RAGBRAI because it's such a big event. You meet somebody and you never see them again because there's 20,000 people. Yeah. But we rode a lot together throughout that week. We stayed at your house. You made me the best like Oreo pie thing.
Oh yeah, that was I think it is called an Oreo pie. Peanut butter Oreo pie, something like that. It was good stuff, man.
All right, let's hear from you. How did you get into the outdoor world? Oof. My channel loves bike packing, so maybe you can talk a bit about the bike packing, add a little bit of everything. How did you get into this?
Yeah, so I'll start with cycling first. It started with my father. So he was very unhealthy, and his family has a history of people dying from heart attacks. So his mother, his father, his grandfather, all the way up. And one day he went to the hospital, and long story short, they said, you're going to die if you don't change something. So he tried running, he tried walking, he tried all these other things, didn't like it. Then he hopped on a bike.
Yeah.
And I remember in my town, there's a lot of steep hills up one side. So I remember he hopped on the bike and loved it so much. Each day he would just go up and down each of those hills. So as a little kid, I was 14, 15, and I saw my dad doing this and falling in love with this sport. So I'm like, yeah, all right, I want to do that too. And it's different because that was out in New Jersey, where there's obviously a lot more diversity in Jersey. So seeing my father and a lot of his friends who were people of color get into cycling got me really jazzed into it. So my first bike that I bought was a Trek 1.2, a white Trek 1.2. I rode that thing. I gave it away probably 2 years ago now, but rode that thing for like 7-8 years. Absolutely loved it. But it was interesting because when I came to Iowa from Jersey, that's when I kind of stopped seeing all these other people of color on bikes, and I kind of stopped cycling for me until about 2 or 3 years ago when I met you on RAGBRAI. But that's kind of where
and you're like, I don't have a community here.
Yeah, and it was something, thinking back now, I can realize that. But in the moment, it's just not right. You do kind of what your group of friends does. So seeing my father and his friends do it and me wanting to be like my father, right, it made me ride a lot more. However, once I got to Iowa, there was nobody that I knew, first of all, and then no people of color on a bike. So that kind of took me away from cycling for about 5 or 6 years that I didn't hop on a bike. Yeah.
Wow. And where are your parents from again?
Yeah, so my father was born in Dominican Republic. My mother was born in the Bronx, New York. So that's where I was born in New York. And then right now they're all in Jersey. All my family's in Jersey, but we're Hispanic. All of us are from Dominican Republic. So
nice. ¿Y hablas español, no?
Claro, español. Yeah.
I love that accent, man. I spent some time in the Dominican Republic. It's one of my favorite Latin American countries by far because the people are just so vibrant and just sexy, and they just love life.
I'll take the sexy and loving life.
Yeah. Right. So you get to Iowa, you're not really into bikes. Yeah. How did it happen?
Yeah, so it started with camping. I kind of forgot about bikes for a while, and then I forget how I got into camping. I think it was a friend of mine who took me or something, but I ended up, I'm an engineer, so I really like details, and I ended up getting just swept up in the details of all the little camping gear, and I loved seeing my entire ecosystem go from my pack to this like home and then back on my pack again. So I started with backpacking, and then I picked up cycling again, and then I picked up bikepacking because I realized you could do both at the same time. So actually RAGBRAI was my first real foray into bikepacking. I got a real initial set of bikepacking gear on that noble steed right there.
Oh, there it is. Nice setup.
So I grabbed that, rode it with you, tried to ride it across Iowa, and had an absolute blast. So that kind of just cemented my love for bikepacking.
And what was it about RAGBRAI? I mean, people have seen on my channel, it's a very unique event. And what was about RAGBRAI that you loved?
Yeah, it was definitely the people and the disconnection from everything that you think is essential, right? So you think being near your phone is essential, having a consistent house is, right? Which obviously arguably is, but it was just fun to strip away all these things that you thought were necessary and be thrown into something with all these other people. And it felt like you had a brand new family. And each town you went to, you got to experience some new food, some new culture. And then as you're riding, I mean, I met people from Australia, from Switzerland, from Sweden, from all these different places, and you're just chatting. And it's different because when you're in everyday life, you're kind of guarded, right? You don't just go up to someone and divulge all your deepest, darkest secrets. But on RAGBRAI, you guys are riding 10, 12, 15 miles an hour, and people just open up. It was fun because you just roll up next to someone, talk with them, and they'll tell you everything about themselves in 20, 30 minutes. And then you guys hit a town and you separate. And you may never see them again, but you may. Yeah. So it's fun meeting new people and seeing all the different things.
Yeah, I mean, within 3 minutes of meeting you, you were giving us love advice. That's a pretty interesting thing.
Yeah, man. Guard down. No, I'll give that to you.
Do you still have friends from that week in RAGBRAI?
Oof. Well, I met you there, right? Or
you got me.
Nobody else. There was a couple friends who I met up with who are friends previously, but I didn't exchange numbers with many people because it was, again, you're on the bike and then you meet people as you meet people. So it's one of those things where you just meet someone and there's this beautifulness to, I may never see them again, but I really loved my interaction with them.
Absolutely. That's so cool. And you've mentioned already a couple times, you haven't seen a lot of people of color in the cycling world, in the bikepacking world. You jumped into RAGBRAI just off a cuff, essentially. Like, I'm going to give this a shot. Your wife drove you to one end of Iowa, right? And just dropped you off. And you just went for it. And that's kind of who you are. You just go for things. And you have an entire YouTube channel, an Instagram channel called Kev Does, where you try new things and you try to inspire people to try new things. Who do you want to reach with all that? Why do you? Because you're not an influencer. You're not making money doing it. You do it because you want to do it.
Yeah. I want to reach the person who has given up on their dreams, right? So, and let kind of life take over them. So that's all age ranges, all colors, all demographics. I think that so many people, what I've seen as I've transitioned from school to full-time work is that you get into work, you get into bills, you get into relationships, and then that kind of takes over everything. And it's really easy to just let life continue to slide by, especially when you're tired after work. But there's still those dreams and those desires in the back of your head that unless you intentionally, just like I said with love, you intentionally take time to accomplish those, life is just going to pass you by. And we don't know how much longer we have on this earth. So you got to just push through and try to enjoy it as best as you can. So that's what I want to do. I want to motivate people that regardless of where you are, right, make a goal and then set a time limit on it. That's what the Kev Does 101 in. So I have 101 things to do, bucket list items in 1,001 days. Trying to get it done. I have a time limit. It's December 25th, 2021. So I got about half left.
That's awesome, man. We have a great question right here from Rosario Lobo. As an African-American bikepacker, do you feel safe being out there venturing into unknown places? As a person of color, that's one of the fears I have being out there. Thank you, Rosario, for that question.
Thanks, Rosario. That's a really good question. So I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. The recent turn of events, specifically the shooting of Ahmaud Arbery, definitely turned around how safe I felt. Initially, I kind of felt invincible, right? I'm tall and I'm a male, which definitely helps just in terms of intimidation. But I specifically remember I was riding some gravel roads in Iowa, and I came into this turn that could have been a road or a driveway leading up to someone's house. And I was in the middle of nowhere. I mean, like 40, 50 miles away from my house where I was staying at. And I remember just this fear instilling over me of, I'm going to turn around because I don't know if I keep going, if something could happen to me and no one's around to see or to video or to help me at all. So there was definitely a different fear. But to that, I would say there's practical things you could do, right? You could obviously ride with other people and not by yourself, especially in a sport like cycling where there's such a good, awesome community tied around it. It's way more fun to go on a ride by yourself than with someone else. And then outside of that, I would also say there comes a point where you can't let fear stop you from doing things. I mean, even if it's the fear of death, we are eventually all going to die. So if unfortunately that's how you do pass away, I don't wish that upon anyone, but you can't let that stop you from enjoying cycling. I mean, I think of all the memories that I've had on a bike. If I just let the fear of something bad happen to me stop me from doing that, I would have missed out on all that. So.
Well said, my friend. And fear is something that we all have to overcome. What do you do specifically to overcome fear in any situation? Maybe it's the first day you asked Jasmine out on a date or whatever it was. Like, get over fear. That's something all humans can relate to, whether or not we're cyclists or runners.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tough question.
So
How do you get over fear? Putting me on the spot, Ryan. There isn't a real simple answer, a simple way to get over fear, but that motto that I just said, where eventually you're going to die, so why let this stop you? That's kind of where my mind goes a lot, because a lot of times you try to stop and think, why are you scared of a certain situation or event, or asking someone out, or presenting someone at something at work that you're really passionate about? Why are you scared? Eventually it comes down to other people judging you, most times, right? Outside of fear, safety. So then you just have to decide, is someone's bad judgment of me worth me not possibly enjoying this moment? And typically I say, F that, I'm gonna go have fun. I'm gonna go dance. I'm gonna go jump off something high. I'm gonna go do something.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
So you do a lot of these outdoor sports, cycling, bikepacking, bow hunting. You ran a marathon. You try a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Do you feel, for the most part, accepted into these sports? Like people welcome you in, or do you feel maybe like an outsider?
Yeah, there's definitely groups of people. I'm going to call out like the cycling collective that I'm a part of, Bonesaw, right?
Bonesaw.
They're definitely an eclectic group of people here in Minneapolis, right? Everyone looks different. There's not as many people of color as there are white, but just look at the demographic of Minneapolis, right? There's obviously just more white people, but I would say there's definitely spaces where I do feel accepted as myself, and it's awesome, right? Regardless of what I look like, without any judgment. Then there's also a certain guard that I think as people of color we've just built up, where you can take those glances of judgment, where you can take those glances of questioning as like, why are you here? Yeah. You shouldn't be here. You just learn to deflect that. And obviously that comes with experience of just having that deflected, and then you deciding, I'm not going to let that person's judgment stop me from trying out this new activity. So there is this point of, sometimes you don't feel accepted, sometimes you don't feel welcomed, but eventually you just build up a guard that's strong enough to not really worry about that. And then there's also this group where there are people of color that you meet, and it's really different because it's fun. Even though there's people who accept you, it's different when there's a group of people of color that you're participating in events with, because then you don't have to worry about whether they accept you or not. Even if they do, you can just be and enjoy with all guards down, and that's super freeing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talking about being accepted, what does your own family think of sports that you've chosen to do?
Well, cycling, as I mentioned, my dad is into cycling, so that's all well and good. But the camping part of it, it puzzles them a lot. They wonder why I would choose to sleep outside when I have a perfectly good bed at home.
Yeah.
So that, I wouldn't say not accepted, but it's definitely, initially there wasn't like an overwhelming support. Now I think I've done it enough and like preached it enough that they want to try and they're willing to try to go camp out with me. So that's awesome. But specifically bow hunting, I remember when I killed my first deer, it was a friend of mine's father who took me, and I got to kill a deer. I showed my family, all excited, and they obviously loving were like, who's this redneck? Who have you become? Why are you doing this? That's not us. That's not what we do. And unfortunately, that's a reality that we live in, right? If you're not supported by the white people around you or accepted by the white people around you, there's also a lot of people who try to go home all excited about some new passion possibly. However, they're not supported by their own family just because that's not what we do. And that's hard, right? I would say that it was just a complete mental battle for me on my own. I don't feel like I had really support from anyone. It was just my own interest and my disregard for what people thought of me that kept me pushing forward, right, and get to this point. But it's definitely not easy, because we're not, even if it's not family, you don't have any friends who might be willing to do it with you, because friends that I've asked to go camp, they just kind of laugh in your face like, why would I do that? I have a perfectly good bed. That's not what we do. And I've had that conversation a lot of times, that's not what we do. But there is a subset of us out there who do it. So
how does it make you feel when they say that? That's not what we do. Like, what's your response to that?
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed, right? Because given everything that's going on, you see the box that we've been put in, right, by leaders, by political leaders, by America, by all this, by just the injustice. We've been put in a box. And then I get annoyed because when own people of color say that that's not something we do, we're just shrinking that box down to this. And we're making some stereotypes, unfortunately, true, that you don't see Black people skiing. Why is that? You don't see black people camping. Why is that? Because we put our own limit on ourselves, and it bothers me, right? Because that doesn't help. I want to get that message out to other people that this is possible to do, regardless of what you look like. And having people with that mindset just limits the amount of people who are going to go out and try it. If your best friend or mother or father just goes and says, you can't do that, that's not what we do, you may never pick that up again, and you missed out on a lifetime of awesome experiences. So it's really annoying. It saddens me, but then also aggravates me when people do that.
But you're one of like those super positive guys that, you know, like people with love.
Yeah. So I'm not going to claim that love, right? That's a love that's given to me from God. I'm just trying to be a mirror who reflects that out onto other people. So that's definitely not me. There's times where I'm down. There's times where I'm sad and weak, but I mean, prayer is powerful. So is community. So that's where I give that all up to that. The reason I'm here today.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame all of it on people of color giving you a hard time. You look at the outdoor industry, and it's very white. You look at the commercial or the adventure films or the activities that are done and what you see on billboards, and it's white people usually. So I would imagine you're like, wow, that's not for me. That, none of my people are on that billboard or in this movie,
Yeah. And then that's a conscious thing as well as a subconscious thing too. So consciously, yes, we don't see that, and we may be unmotivated to go and try that sport. But at the same time, subconsciously, if you think over years of just being fed into your mind that you don't see people on billboards do that, you don't see people in magazines who look like you, it just eventually, again, starts to put up that limit around what you can do. And it's tough. As a recent example, I wanted to buy a new helmet because my helmet's been through a lot of crashes. And I remember wanting to see if a helmet would look good because it was a specific color I wanted on darker skin. I just wanted to see what that would look like. And I could not find a single picture of that helmet on a person of color. Even the reviews, even the homemade YouTube videos, nothing. I could not find a person of color on that. So
yeah, and that goes back to like Band-Aids and everything. It's like it's really hard to find, stuff that fits different shades of skin color.
That's a good point. Yeah.
We have a great question from my friend Alon. What motivates you to leave your house and bike every day, Kevin? I personally have had some trouble finding motivation for getting outside lately, and I really wonder what helps other people get going. Thank you, Alon.
Yeah, Alon, that's a great question. I would say once I figure out motivation, then maybe I'll start being motivated myself. I definitely don't bike every day. It's something where I typically have to set some sort of goal to work towards. So right now there's a race in October. It's 109 miles in, I believe it's Bentonville, Arkansas, a gravel race with like 10,000 feet of climbing. So if I don't prepare for that, I'm going to hurt. I'm not going to make the race. Yeah. So that's where sometimes if intrinsically you're not yet there, right, you can't motivate yourself enough, it helps sometimes to just put a goal of, I have to do this or else I'm going to fail. And that's similar to what I did with my marathon in 2018, where I had to train or else I was not going to make it.
Yeah. If you don't train, it just hurts way worse when you do a race. You might be able to cross the finish line, but you're going to be hurt. Your body isn't ready for it. It's never seen 26 miles,
I mean, take RAGBRAI, for example. I got hurt on day 4. I got hurt and had to stop that RAGBRAI that we met each other because I pulled some muscle on my leg. And I hadn't really biked much before that. As I mentioned, it was kind of my first foray into bikepacking. I've never ridden that many miles consecutively. So when you don't prepare, right, sometimes you can't even enjoy the full thing and crossing the finish line because I had to quit a little over halfway through there on RAGBRAI.
Yes, but you still invited me to your house and made me pie.
Oh, yeah.
So you redeemed yourself. So we're talking about preparing, and we have lots of runners on my channel as well. So I'd like to show a short piece of your video from your YouTube channel. I will link all this below if you want to go follow Kevin. But we're going to show you a piece of what Kevin is all about here, and check it out.
Hey, welcome to Kev Does, where I hope to help you become a better version of yourself.
Great.
In this video, we're going to talk about the marathon that I ran with just 7 weeks of training. Yeah, marathon! Yeah! Let's go, baby!
That was a tough day. That hurt.
So about a year ago, I ran the Minneapolis Marathon.
Anyway, so give you a taste of what this dude is all about.
Oh,
kind of like what you see on my channel. That's why I like this guy so much. I like to train for and do a marathon in 7 weeks.
Yeah. I can sum it up in one word pretty easily. That was just painful. It hurt a lot. I feel blessed that I was able to finish the marathon, but again, back to the training piece, I ended up like really badly straining a calf 21 miles in. So I like limped the last 5.5 miles or something, and that was not fun at all. But overall, it was painfully physically, but mentally, that was one of the most like breakthrough moments in my life, because in terms of people not supporting you, Ryan, I have good friends who told me that I can't, with 7 weeks of training, not being a runner beforehand. When I say not being a runner, I mean 3 miles was difficult for me.
Yeah.
That I'm going to hurt myself like permanently by doing that. I had all of these people telling me no, that I couldn't and I shouldn't. But then there was just one person who told me that, yeah, you can run that with 7 weeks. You can run that with 7 weeks. And I was literally about to give my marathon pass ticket to someone else. On the way there, I met someone, and then they're the one who told me that I could do it. So it was because of them that I just made a plan and got running.
That's so awesome, man.
Yeah.
How did the race go?
Yeah, the race, my goal was 4:30. I got 4:54. So I was on pace to do like a 4:20 something. And then my calf got messed up. So that limping the last 5.5 miles screwed me over. But the race was surprisingly easy. I remember I was at mile 18 and thinking, wow, I feel great. I feel phenomenal.
Yeah.
I wasn't going at a super fast pace or pushing super hard, but it was such an awesome experience. I don't want to do it again ever, but if you've never done a marathon, I would highly suggest doing at least one.
I was going to invite you to do a 100-miler with me. Is that a no?
Ooh, that's a strong no, right? I'll ride it on my bike.
Okay, you could ride it on your bike. That's good. We have a nice comment here that I think you should see. Enjoy the chat. As someone new to bikepacking, I can relate to standing out and looking different than the peers in this cycling category. But you do get out there and have fun. Thank you, Miguel.
Yeah, gracias, Miguel. Yeah. You just got to do that.
Totally. Let's see. You guys can start asking questions if you want here on the side, and we will ask them to Kevin. But along with the marathon running, it's hard. It's something you have to prepare for, and but the excitement of being around that many people for me is what gives me energy to keep moving.
Yeah,
kind of like RAGBRAI or another cycling event. I love events because of the people and the friends I meet. I like pushing myself, and challenging myself and running faster than I have before. But I go to races like Javelina 100 and the Boulder because I like meeting people, and it seems like it's the same for you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I would say both in RAGBRAI and the marathon, what definitely kept you going a lot of times was just the hundreds, if not thousands of people around you, not only racing with you or riding with you, but also specifically on the marathon, there were so many people with cookies or gummy bears or gummy worms or signs where, high five for a power up. That's what got me through it easily. That was so much fun. And I think that's what's one of the best parts about group events like that is the mentality where, again, as I mentioned, boundaries kind of fall, and it just feels like we're all one human family as opposed to worrying about what you look like or where you're from. Once you start doing it, everyone's just there to support each other.
Yeah, so there was a question up here earlier. I don't know if I can find it, but it was asking you, what's been your most difficult physical adventure?
Ooh. Difficult physical adventure.
Yeah.
I would probably have to say that marathon, training for it, because went from no running to 26 miles in 7 weeks. I didn't think that was a big deal, but then looking up at stats and stuff, what you should prepare, people say like 6 months going from 0 to a marathon. So that was like realizing all the miles that I put in and what I put my body through. That's the biggest physical feat that I've done.
There's some alien that keeps interrupting our broadcast. Do you hear that weird like? No. Maybe it's just on my side. There's aliens out there.
Yeah,
anyway, we've talked a bit about running and cycling. What are some of the other unique outdoor sports that you do?
Oh, fun. Yeah, the first one that comes to mind is archery. So I really like archery. And I started in it probably about 4 years ago. It's one of those things where as a kid, we all had those little Nerf gun bows and arrows, or in video games, I'd always pick the person with the bow and arrow. I didn't know that I liked it until my brother-in-law lent me his bow just to shoot. And I remember shooting 3 shots and fall in love falling in love right away. I went to the bow shop the next day and bought a bow and been shooting ever since.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You shoot at your walls in your house? Where do you go shoot?
I haven't put an arrow through my wall yet, thank God. But we actually just purchased a house, and there's a pretty big yard in the back. So I'm blessed that I can just walk outside and shoot right now. But it's one of those really fun things that I was telling you, right, it's really meditative. Because once you get into this state of just pull the arrow back, properly execute and release, you just get into this state of real calm because you're not focusing on thoughts, you're not focusing on worries or bills, you're focusing on taking each movement of your body very intentionally. And it's fun. And then the whole aspect of hunting, I saw Miguel's video or picture, it looked like he was wearing some camo in front of a spotting scope, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
That looked like a blast too. That's a whole other community and another way to get outdoors and combine camping and outdoors along with another sport that I enjoy doing.
That's cool. We have an interesting comment here. I'm fascinated that RAGBRAI has black riders. When I see pictures of RAGBRAI,
yeah,
you see any other ethnicities.
Yeah.
What do you think about the breakdown of RAGBRAI? And I can add in my thoughts afterwards.
Yeah, so breakdown of RAGBRAI. What?
When you first showed up, you're like, what was it like?
Actually, what definitely changed my entire experience, there was a man named Jesus, not the Jesus from the Bible. There was a man named Jesus who he was sitting at the diner that my wife and I stopped at right before she left. And we were eating and we were talking about starting on RAGBRAI, and he overheard us. And he was with this big group of people. But he was obviously the only person of color in there, but he was one of those, I think he was an Army veteran who just been doing it with the other Army people for all of these years. So he invited us at the table. I started riding the first day or two with him. So even that, right, my RAGBRAI experience is probably thanks to that one person who stopped and told me like, hey, you can come ride with us. We took a group picture, or they were going to take a group picture, and he invited me in to take it with them. So he definitely welcomed me in and made the entrance to RAGBRAI significantly more enjoyable.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Aside from that, yeah, I can't think of any other black riders that I saw while on RAGBRAI. Not a single one.
Yeah, there's not many, but I actually was surprised that there were more than I had expected.
Oh, that's good.
When you go to like a cycling race or running, like an ultra race, those are, I mean, that's like 99% what it seems to be white for sure. But RAGBRAI, it's has a little bit more. I mean, out of 20,000 people, there's definitely a little bit more color out there. And Iowa itself isn't a very diverse state, correct?
No, it's not at all. But I feel blessed because people in Iowa are awesome. I feel like everyone has a super big heart, and my experiences in Iowa have been very good.
Yeah.
I think that helps with the whole part of RAGBRAI. The fact that people are really welcoming and just open is part of the reason that RAGBRAI has been so successful.
Yeah. And what do you think we can do as cyclists and the outdoor industry can do and the cycling world can do to make it more comfortable for people of color? How can we do better?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So
besides having your favorite helmet, with a photo of somebody that looks like you, how do events, be more welcoming? Because obviously I would think on the whole, we are, in RAGBRAI, but it's like when you can't see other people there, a lot of people are going to be turned away. Yeah.
Yeah. That's tough, right? I don't think that there's anything a specific organization can do, right? Like RAGBRAI or something else. I think it's on us. If you are a person of color who does bike, right? Try to show other people, try to invite other people, your friends, your family, other people of color. And then if you are a white person who likes to bike, make sure that when you do see someone who is a person of color, don't give them the look of why are you here, or think that that's not weird. That's not normal that someone of color is here riding next to me, right? Try to just treat them as if they're another one of your friends who are biking, because they are, right? We're all human, so we should all be friends with one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to just talk about bikes. What's your favorite part about bikepacking? Why do you love it?
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite part about bikepacking is the idea of adventure. So it's faster than walking, but slower than a car. So walking, I feel like you can't get somewhere fast enough, and it's not feasible to like walk across the country in a reasonable amount of time. And then driving, you miss a lot of stuff. So I really like that typically bikepacking is on gravel roads, so they're not on just paved highways. Gravel roads typically go through things like forests and mountains and streams and small towns. So there's a real sense of adventure with bikepacking because it's a little slower. You can see a lot of things, but then it's also faster, so you can reasonably cross an entire country on a bike in a good amount of time. So see a lot while also getting to actually see it as opposed to being in a car.
And when you're burning 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 calories a day, you can eat a lot of ice cream.
Oh, heck yeah. Reached. Or in your case, what, beans and tortillas?
Yeah, beans and tortillas, ice cream. I mean, when we were riding together on RAGBRAI, we stopped every 5 miles to like check out whoever was selling goodies.
Yeah, or that big swan that was there.
Oh, yeah, in the lake.
Yeah, that pink flamingo. That's what it was. That was fun. Things like that you don't see in the car, right?
Yeah. No, that's what I call it life at 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You're going slow enough to really experience everything around you. And you're stopping in small towns that you would normally just blow by on a car.
Yeah.
You're going slow. The wind is in your hair. Your body's moving. You're earning it. You're moving. Your body is making you go forward. And that's an exciting feeling. And, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you're like, wow, I have to go from A to B, and that's 98 miles. That seems impossible. 98 miles. But, you know, you chip at it, kind of like what you were saying earlier. And by the end of the day, you're like, wow, I rode 98 miles. And that's awesome. And now I get to sleep under the stars. This is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
A nice comment here. I think it was relating back to the RAGBRAI, giving this, you know, some advice here. Get us out and talk to us, and talk to those of us who ride and camp, and have somebody on RAGBRAI's staff to hire some people of color, advertise to people of color. I think that's a great idea. Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. So Kevin, so besides the bow hunting and you've tried marathons, what are some of the other crazy things you've done?
Oof. Let's see. Done. I got to refer to my little list here of Kev Does 101. Let's see.
If you missed the beginning, Kevin has a whole list. How many things? 1,000 different things?
There's 101 things that I have to do in 1,001 days.
That's it. 100 things that he's trying to do in 1,000 days, which is pretty awesome. I think we should all have a list like this. Kevin, let's hear some of the good stuff. And you can talk about the future things.
Yeah, and we've got some of the future things too. Some of the future things are a bit audacious, but I'm definitely down to try it. So let's see. This isn't a hobby, but we paid off all our debt. I tried having no sugar for a month. Let's see. I got to buy and ride an electric skateboard. So that's another thing. I really like longboarding. That's how I got around all in college. And then One Wheels came out, and those electric skateboards, and I have an absolute blast on mine. It's super fun. I got to star in a commercial. I did 100 push-ups a day for 30 days.
Let's see those biceps, man.
Tiny. Well, let's see. Some of the audacious things right now are, let me see. I have to hop on a train and ride it for a day.
Really?
I'm not sure if that's legal or not, but
it's not legal, but I'll do that with you.
It'd be cool to go somewhere wherever trains go.
Totally.
Let's see. Learn to
say. Have any train hoppers out there? If there's anybody's any experience, give us some tips over here in the comments.
Yeah, do that. So I bow hunt an elk, drive a supercar, program an app. I ran a 5K barefoot. I do have to cross that one out. That was enjoyable, but yeah, from no game to 3 miles barefoot, that was tough.
Nice. We have another comment here that I think is right on, and it kind of follows up to what we were talking about being in the outdoors. Outdoor activities are a privilege, which obviously is something that white people have and people of color do not. Outdoor activities will become more inclusive when we end systemic racism. Yeah. So thank you for that. It's Lior. That's a cool name. Where are you from, man? Tell us where you're from.
That is a cool spot. That brings to mind too. I think someone else mentioned it. If you have extra gear, right, and there is someone that you know of color who maybe can't afford it, right? Either just if you want to give it to them if you're able to, otherwise just let them borrow it and take them on an overnight trip somewhere really close, somewhere that's accessible. Like we had some friends over and we just camped in our backyard one night because we had an extra tent and extra pad. So that was fun because that was his first experience ever camping. So it was awesome that I got to do that. We also got to set him up in some hammocks to try out too, and they loved that. So
that's cool. We already have people looking out for us. Careful, fellas. Train hopping is a felony, which could end up with amputation.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
This guy is awesome. He's always looking out for me. He's been a follower for a while, and I really appreciate his comments and his questions on my channel. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Out in New Jersey, I think. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Nice. So what do you have going on this summer, my friend? Any adventures planned? Are you going to be sleeping outside anytime soon?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I recently found out that even with COVID, state forests are open for dispersed camping. So we already went on Memorial Day weekend. My wife and I went camping. I'm going to try out as many state forests in Minnesota as I can. And then, I don't know, there's a friend of mine who might do the Great Mountain Bike Divide race.
Yeah.
So we'll see if I can join him on that for at least a week or two.
I think your friend would enjoy that. I haven't announced it to my channel yet, so it's kind of a secret.
Oh, I wasn't going to say it's you.
Yeah, that's looking like that's going to happen. So I just said it. Yeah, we're going to ride the divide. I was supposed to go to England this summer with Dana, and we were going to ride the length of Great Britain from Land's End to John O'Groats all the way up in Scotland. And because we can't really travel internationally, I was like, well, man, I need to find an adventure close to home. Yeah. And what's closer to home than the Continental Divide, which is right in my backyard here in Colorado. And that route starts in Banff, Canada, and goes all the way down to the border of Mexico. And I'm hoping we can get Kevin out there on the bike.
We'll try. Yeah, so that'll be fun. There's also the Superior Hiking Trail just straight north here in Minneapolis. In Minnesota. So I'm going to see if I can do a couple days on the Superior Hiking Trail backpacking. So that'll be awesome as well. And then there's, like I said, we're planning for a bow hunting trip next summer. So some buddies and I are going to try to go out to Colorado and bow hunt an elk. So that brings all those hobbies into one play.
Look at this. This is my mom. Thanks, Total Control. Ryan's mom. The train comment. My mom is always looking out for me. My mom's been on my channel many times. We all love Mama Duzer. Thank you for looking out for me. Okay, fine. Kevin and I won't jump trains. We'll just buy a ticket on the Amtrak.
There we go. Not as exciting, but we'll try.
I have a question here for you, Kevin. What are those cool posters in the background?
Yes.
Show them.
Forgot they were here. So they are. My wife and some friends got them for me for my birthday. So they're old bikes. They're like the blueprint of when they were first made. So the plans, it has the inventors' names here, the year. I think this one's 1890, this model. This one is 1970. So it just shows the blueprints of different components of the bike. This one's 1897. But it's one of those things. I like cycling, and it's weird. It's rare that my wife enjoys something to decorate with that involves cycling, but she found those prints and I loved them, so she got it for me for my birthday.
So Dana just wrote in, I want to join on my birthday. Everybody loves Dana. We're going to try to get Dana out there. Her birthday is late July. She actually celebrated it on RAGBRAI last year, but there won't be any RAGBRAI this year. So we're going to try to meet up, and maybe you'll be with us and you can meet Dana in real life finally.
That'd be awesome.
And here's a good one. How many pounds of beans will you consume? So it's not a race. We're just going to ride it. There is a race, but when you race things, it kind of takes the fun out of bike packing because you're just in pain the whole time. I know that I run ultra marathons, and that's a different kind of fun because it's over so quick, but I don't like racing bikes. I like just riding bikes. So how many pounds of beans? Lots of beans. Kevin, do you like beans, by the way?
I like beans. Maybe not as much as you. They can just eat that all day, every day. But
beans in Dominican Republic are a little bit different than Mexican beans.
Yeah, they're not refried.
Yeah. What do you call them there? Like, do you call them habichuelas?
Yeah, we call them habichuela. So arroz y habichuela. That's a classic staple.
Yeah.
So they're boiled. So you get the dried beans, you put them in with water and all these different sauces and peppers and onions. And it's an art. It takes like 45 minutes or so to make a good pot of beans. So it's not just something that you put over the stove and it's gone. It's 45 minutes of constant washing and attention. But there is nothing better than a plate of rice and beans. Nothing.
So I want to show my bike art. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
So if you were downstairs in my house, you would see lots and lots of bikes. But upstairs only has one piece of bike art. That was painted by a family friend. And he did it out of the kindness of his heart. I didn't even ask him to do it. It just kind of showed up at my house one day. So, yeah. Somebody has a question. Have either of you ever ridden the Great Allegheny Passage in C&O Canal from Pittsburgh to D.C.? I have. Kevin, you haven't?
I have not.
I've ridden the C&O Canal Trail from Maryland to D.C., and it's amazing. And so I love, and Kevin does too, we love rail trails because you're off roads. You're not near cars. it's way safer. And they're also, since it is a railroad grade and these are towpaths on C&O Canal Trail, they're flat. So they're fairly easy. They're beautiful. There's camping everywhere. And it's awesome. So, yeah. All right, we've been talking for 45 minutes, and I want to thank all the people for chiming in with the comments and everything. I love you guys. Thanks for joining Team Duzer. I would love Kevin to leave us with a little bit of his Kevin style inspiration. You mentioned it at the beginning, but if we're a little bit hesitant to get out there and try something new, how do you do it? Like, what do you do to get you psyched about something that you're scared about?
Yeah, because a lot of that is definitely just mental, right? It's a decision that you have to make. So you have to see what you want and just want that more than what other people tell you that you shouldn't want it or shouldn't do it. So in terms of how I do it, there's typically something that I find I think it's going to be really fun. And I don't really listen to what other people say. I also don't typically tell many people. I mean, you have people like my wife who'll support me, some close friends, but typically if there's something I want to try, there's a YouTube video on it to learn how to do it. And then you just got to get up and go. You just got to wake up one day and pull the trigger.
Get up and go. I mean, that's the theme of my channel. Get out there. I mean, I think pretty much only good things can happen to you if you challenge yourself in a new way. It might be uncomfortable at the beginning, or you might be scared of looking like a weirdo in front of new people because you got your new bike gear on or whatever it is. But getting out there in any way, shape, or form is always going to fuel your soul, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing more inspirational or satisfactory than you doing something that you were really scared of doing and then finishing it and just looking back and seeing how much of a different person you are afterwards. There is nothing more satisfying than that. So.
Yeah. So people are asking about your channels. I will link them below, but you wanted to say it out loud right here?
Yeah. So my YouTube channel is Kev Does. I have not been posting on there as frequently as I should, but that's going to change soon. I got a couple videos in the works. Kev Does, so KEVDOES. And then my Instagram is Kev Does Insta. So that's where there's a lot more posts about things that I've completed and done and what I'm trying to do.
We're going to leave this right here. Thanks, Kevin. Can't wait to meet you. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, Dana.
Yeah, Dana, we love you, Dana. All right. Thank you all so much. I love you. I really do. If I could give you all a big hug, I would. I think Kevin would be right there with us. And tune in next time. Isn't that what you say at the end of a broadcast? Tune in next time.
Absolutely. Good talking to you, Ryan.
Cheers.
Thank you guys for the comments.
All right. So I'm ending it. And